This is something I've talked about before, like 2 years ago, but with the purge of my old videos, that one went with it, and I feel like there was more I could have added to it, so consider this something of a remake. Something I see a lot is people struggling to design a character that sticks with them, that they consistently want to use to represent themselves or have motivation to draw more than once. I've cycled through a few different mascot designs in the past, and I think I've landed on one that I really like. He's been representing me online for almost a year and a half now, which might not seem like so long, because I guess it isn't, but I still have just as much, if not more, interest in him as when I made him, and I never get bored of drawing him, so I thought I could talk about how I got there, and maybe some ideas of how you can make a character that sticks with you like that if that's something you're struggling to do. 1. Less is more. I think something we may have a tendency to do when designing a character for our own use is to try and put everything we can into the base design. This may be because you want to make it more unique or stand out more, so you'll be more attached to it. But something I've realized over time is that when you're trying to make a character that will stick with you, simpler designs sometimes achieve that more easily. Drawing your character shouldn't feel like a chore to do. If you're having trouble remembering all the various details to the point where you have to keep tabbing out to check the reference sheet and get frustrated, then there might be too much going on. Simpler designs are also much more effective as mascots a lot of the time because people can more easily remember what they look like, and if they only have 4 or 5 colors, people will associate those color combinations with you whenever they see them. I reworked Dante's design around June or July of last year, and it's not like he's gotten more complicated with the redesign. If anything, I took away parts of his design that I felt were too hard for me to remember. At that point, I had him for months and I still couldn't remember those details, so instead of struggling to include them every time I drew him, I just took them out. Something to note is that you can always have whatever accessories you want to put on the character if you're ever in the mood to draw a complicated design. You also don't really have to draw the character the exact same way every time. If you look at character designs that the owners are very attached to, you'll see that they often don't have the most complex of base designs, but still stand out and are memorable. I follow artists whose main characters are really simple, but when I see those color combinations, I immediately think of them. Obviously, different types of designs appeal to different people. A design that I might see as super complicated and hard to draw might seem really simple to remember and draw for you. A design that can be considered too simple or too complex differs from person to person. So when you're thinking about this point, try to consider it in your own opinion of what in a design you feel fits these definitions. If you do like complex designs and aren't a fan of simple ones, that's fine too. Draw what you'd like. 2. Redesign over remake. If you have had a character that you fell in love with when you made but have slowly lost interest and now don't draw or do anything with nearly as frequently as in the beginning of their existence, you may feel like it's time to retire them and make a new character. This is an option, of course. Sometimes a change of scenery is nice. You may have gotten tired of the colors, or you want to go into a different direction in terms of your theme, or you may just not like the character enough to want to bother with it anymore. That's fine. However, if you're still tentative to retire the character, it may be worth a shot to try and rework it rather than make a completely new one. Try adding or removing patterns, designing new outfits, changing things about their appearance, and seeing if this makes you like the character more. If it's been a while since their creation or last redesign, you've probably improved as a designer since that point, and you can bring new ideas into the character that you didn't have before. Something I do when I'm noticing that I'm losing attachment to a character is I keep track in my head of the things that are bothering me about them, or that I might want to add to them, and when I finally have enough of those things, I do a big redesign where I implement all those ideas, and usually that makes me like the character a lot more. 3. Do more with the character than drawing it. This point is a little weird, but something that I do with my characters when I really like them is I try to do more with them than just drawing them repeatedly. Try your hand at physical art if you can. Make alternate universes or stories in your head about them and write them down. Or if you're not a writer, brainstorm ideas for a future comic. Think about the specifics of them. What's their name? What's their gender? What's their species? Where did they come from? What powers do they have? What's their occupation? This is a lot of fun to do, and it's a great pastime in my opinion. Not to mention, if you have some extra money on you, it can also be a lot of fun to commission other artists to draw your character. I love seeing renditions of my character in different styles. And if you don't have the money to commission art but would still like to see this, ask around for art trades. You could also participate in the annual art fight game on this website to draw and receive art of your character or your characters. It's so much fun and it makes me connect with my designs a lot more. You can store all the details about your character on this website called Toy House. You need an invite code to sign up for the website, but don't worry, they're not that hard to come across. Any person with premium probably has a lot more codes than they know what to do with. I have like 60 or 70 ungenerated codes on me right now, and you're free to message me for one if you want. I have friends who also have a lot of them. Toy House is a fun way to connect with your OCs more. There's a lot of things you can do with them on there, like link them with other characters or code a profile just for them. I think a similar alternative to Toy House, if you're not a fan of the social media aspect, is refsheet.net, but I can't tell you much about that because I've never used it before. 4. Design the character with yourself in mind. This might seem more obvious, because it is, but I think it's worth adding. If you're trying to make a character for yourself, it helps to think about what makes you you and see those traits come to life in a design. Think about what species remind you of yourself, or that you just like a lot. Give them accessories that you have, tendencies that you have, or any significant details that have personal meaning to you. This one is less required though, and super flexible. I know tons of people who have mascots or Sonas that are completely separate from them. That's cool too. But if that doesn't work for you, then this might be something to try. 5. You can have more than one character. You don't have to have just one character. I have a lot, and while I think it's safe to say that I love this guy the most, I enjoy the other ones too. I know a bunch of people that don't mind having 2 or 3 or even more characters that they collectively use to represent themselves. For some people, this might stick better than having the pressure of cramming all the ideas you have into just one character. If there are 2 themes that you really like and really want to see in a design, but you don't know how to make them mix well, you can just have 2 separate characters. You can alternate usage of them. My friend Dabs has multiple characters that he considers Sonas, and that's always an option too. I have 3 characters that I'd consider secondary mascots. They aren't Dante by any means, but I like them a lot, and they're my favorite just behind him. 6. Accessories make a big difference. I love adding accessories to my characters. I think it's a lot of fun to draw them with different outfits and different props, and it gives me more inspiration for my artwork of them when I have these options. Under this umbrella would be designing outfits for your character. I'm not the most fashionable person ever, but being able to alternate between drawing my character in a hoodie or a jacket or a shirt gives me a lot more variety with what I can do with this design. The characters I instantly connect with are the ones that I can see a variety of different possibilities with. When I make a character and can immediately visualize different possible future art pieces for them, I'm much more keen to keep them. You don't have to leave characters at just their base design. In my opinion, flexibility is the most important thing that comes with character attachment. From my experiences, what burns out my attachment in a character over time is getting tired of drawing them, because I don't have any more ideas or I feel like I've exhausted all my good ones. So you can give yourself more opportunities by creating a wardrobe for your character, giving it some props. 7. Colors are important. Color combinations are so important when you're designing. Although you could probably really pick any set of colors at random and find a way to make it stick, it helps to pick some that stand out. Color combinations are a really good way to make your character recognizable. A good way to start if you don't know what colors to choose is to just pick your favorite color first and then build an idea for a set of additional colors that go well with that first one. My pathing is to pick a first color that I want to start with, then pick a darker shade of that color, then pick a light version of that color, as in nearly off-white, and finally pick a contrasting color. You can embellish this with more colors if you find that you want them later on. Contrast is super important in a color set, by the way. Some folks have palettes without significant contrast and find a way to make it work because designing is super flexible, but I'd advise at least trying to add contrast to your design to see if it makes you like it better. These are tips, they aren't rules. You can try them and apply them however you'd like, but they may or may not work for you. When characters have confusing themes and I can't really understand what's going on with them, it's harder for me to connect with them personally. But a theme is subjective. You could turn anything into a theme, really. Your theme could be that there is no theme.
By the way, this is Ash from the audio editing process. Something I wanted to add but forgot to when I was initially recording is that a lot of people will tell you that designing their main character wasn't intentional and came to them by accident. Dante wasn't originally designed with the intent of even belonging to me, let alone entirely representing me on the internet. I was originally gonna sell him for $3. After posting the design for sale, I found myself coming up with a bunch of ideas for him and realized that I liked him even more than my main character at the time. So I posted a quick nevermind and kept him. You don't have to design your character all at once. If you're trying to sketch out concepts and none of them are looking quite right and you don't like them, don't force yourself to just pick one and use it. Take a break, take a walk, come back with a fresh mind, and try again. It's not always going to happen first try.
Anyways, those are all the thoughts I had to contribute in this video. If you disagree with any of them, or have more to add to them, or have tips of your own, then just comment to share them with me and anyone else who might be watching. I hope you got something out of this and it helped you, or if not, that you at least enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you next time.